Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gentex Multimedia's daily live stream on this 10th day of December 2020. And the days are getting longer, but we are towards the end of the year. Well, once again, welcome to the show. And we have wonderful in our coverage today. And we'll also be looking at what you can do travel-wise during your holidays. And we'll be welcoming Tanvi from Oz, India into the show later on today. But first of all, let's take a look at what the weather has in store for us, and with that let's welcome Dilraj.
Good morning everyone. Weather forecast for the rest of today is maximum 29 degree. Brisbane area is partly cloudy with no chance of any rain. Light winds becoming northeasterly 15 to 25 km per hour in the middle of the day and then becoming light in the evening. Fire danger is high, sun protection is recommended till 50 past 3 and UV index is predicted to reach 12, that is extreme. Till tomorrow, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dilraj, for that update. Well, right now, let's go to the headlines before we get into the rest of the news for today. And of course, there's lots to be talked about because we have the new industrial laws that we're going to be looking at and many other, very, very important issues within the community that's happening as well. We will touch on all of those, but right after the headlines by the courtesy of ABC.
Forced into a backdown on its plan to make the controversial cashless welfare card permanent. It wanted to make the card a permanent fixture in 4 communities across Western Australia, South Australia and Queensland, and also planned to extend it to the Northern Territory. Under the program, 80% of a person's welfare payments are quarantined on a card that can't be used to purchase alcohol or gambling products. British authorities have warned people with serious allergies not to have the new Pfizer coronavirus vaccine after 2 health workers suffered adverse reactions on the first day of the rollout. Elderly people and medical workers have been the first to receive the jab. Meantime, Canada has given the green light to the same vaccine. An Albury teenager has been formally charged with terrorism offences overnight. The 18-year-old man will appear at Albury local court this morning, charged with 2 offences, urging violence against members or groups and advocating terrorism. Police arrested him at his East Albury home yesterday morning, hours after he allegedly made online comments suggesting he was willing to be involved in a mass casualty event. And the Western Australian Premier Mark McGowan will join tomorrow's National Cabinet meeting remotely to socially distance from South Australian Premier Stephen Marshall. Mr McGowan's office says it's appropriate for him to stay away given WA's current COVID restrictions.
There were the headlines for today. Well, right now, today, we will go straight into the news or update for today, which is the travel updates, the weekly update with Tanvi Goel. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to this special segment where we talk about all the travel that you can do within Australia, and of course the main topic being the travel that we've been covering, that whether you can get to India or not, or whether coming back from India as well. All these very relevant topics and very up-to-date information that we've been able to provide to you with the courtesy of Oz India Travel. And with that, once again, I'd like to welcome to the show Tanvi. Tanvi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Macy. Thank you so much, everyone. It's really amazing to see such an overwhelming response. I can't tell you how happy I was receiving some calls from people that we are watching you from last 2 months, and it's helpful to you guys. So thank you so much for following us and listening to us on Australian Indian Radio. Before we go ahead, I would like to mention all details and discussions we do today. It's as per the current updates we receive. For all up-to-date information, please check government websites, current rules and regulations. Amazing.
And of course, the current rules and regulations are to be checked, and what we discuss here and the information that's provided is of a general knowledge as well. And of course, every individual case will differ, and there are rules and regulations that you need to adhere to. But the general observations or the tips and what you can do, what you have to do, what are the options available to you is what we're going to bring. So, Tanvi, looking at from the last time, and as you mentioned, I'd like to mention that as well, that yes, we have received very good response, and it's wonderful to see that, and we'd like to thank everyone for sharing our the show and passing that on, because it is a relevant, very relevant topic and very relevant information that we are providing to all the people who are there. So what is the main update for this week?
Umesh, there are so many exciting updates, I must say, we got this time. The first one is that Tourism Australia has come up with really amazing campaign. Maybe you or someone else have seen that. That's called Give the Gift of Travel. So as we know, there are a lot of things. People were staying home, they could not go anywhere, and people are really wants to go and unite with their families and go out somewhere. So this campaign is really amazing, where they are requesting everyone, please go out, give. You were looking for gifts, that's great, but give something really important for people, which is a gift of travel. So with that, I also want to mention to you guys that if you're looking for any day tours or trips, you can go on our website as well, ausindiatravel.com.au. Just click on short tours, Australia short tours, write the destination you need to go to, check availability and click hit, and it's all done. So guys, it's really best time for you to decide what travel gifts you want to give it to people. And this campaign, and I must appreciate Australian government as well for spreading the love everywhere and encouraging people to travel because things are easing up these days. So yes, this is the right time. You can think of your Christmas or New Year holidays. After that, I have another amazing thing to tell you guys. There's another update for Australia. We're going to have Australia's first carbon neutral hotel. Guys, that's called Pine Tree Lodge. That's on Lord Howe Island of the New South Wales coast. Has achieved the distinction of being the first full-service hotel in Australia to gain certification under the federal government Climate Avenue program. Guys, there'll be another amazing facts which I want to share with you. So on this property, they have done $5 million renovation, helped reduce the carbon footprint, including the refurbishment of all the guest rooms. Following the solar passage design principles, 95% conversions to the LED lights. Installation of new wiring, they have done some commercial refrigeration plants as well. And all up, they reduced the power consumption by 30% and water consumption by 35%. So I'm sure, it would be great if you want to check out these properties because these guys have really done an amazing job. Once again, the name is Pine Tree Lodge. That's on Lord Howe Island of the New South Wales coast. So that's really amazing to know that something really came up, and this is the very first property of Australia. Now, another one I want to inform you is about the travel ban. So overseas travel ban is extended to 18th of March 2020 so far. So Australians will not, it won't be possible to fly overseas. You can just take charters, but I'm talking commercial wise. So our Minister of Health, Greg Hunt, also declared a 3-month extension to the Human Biosecurity Emergency Declaration. So yeah, we have quite a few months at least to start overseas trip for other purposes other than emergency, because for emergency, we already have repatriation flights and charter flights. Other one, next up is the cruises. So the Viking Cruise overnight advised clients it was extending its temporary suspension of ocean and river cruises worldwide through up till 31st March 2021. Like we have already discussed, guys, quite a few cruises coming up in next few years. And definitely there are so many amazing options which you can have a look. But please also check the same time because of the current situation. They might have extended the suspension. They have probably suspended the tour for some time, but after March seems they are okay for now. So, but when you book it, please make sure to check when they're going to start as per the current situation. Next one is, guys, Bendigo back on. So New South Wales Victoria border has seen Qantas Link resume the direct flights between Bendigo and Sydney as the first service to the region since April last year. So before that, they had some flights, but they didn't have flight for quite a few months, 6-8 months. And Qantas is operating 50-seat Q300 turboprop on this route. Just so you know that the seat capacity they are thinking to bring from Bendigo to Sydney is around 50. Next one up is Qantas is also planning to boost Tasmania, and there are quite a few things they have done. And I am happy to say that this is first time happening ever in last 16 years. So they're gonna have flights from Hobart to Brisbane. Services are doing, they're planning to do is 5 days a week. From Hobart to Canberra is 3 to 4 days a week. Then all flights will be operated by Qantas Link, dual class Boeing 717 aircraft, featuring 12 seats in business, 98 in economy, and offering around 2,500 seats per week across the 3 routes. So this is really amazing, because even I heard from so many passengers that they have family in Hobart, in Tasmania, and they don't have many options. So guys, this is definitely your answer that yes, you are covered. There is a lot happening definitely around the world, but at the same time, they are official. They are the people who are thinking for you as well. So guys from Tasmania, yes, you have options coming up very soon. Next up, guys, about the Scoot. So Scoot is planning to have some new features in their flights. But first of all, remember, these features will be probably applicable in commercial flights. They may not have the same thing in the charter flights, okay? So this, the one I'm gonna share with you, is mainly for the commercial flight until the further notice. If they inform it's for charter, it would be, but as of now, they are planning to have that in their commercial flights. So Scoot has launched a new flight portal in preparation for the post-pandemic world. So please know, Scoot will serve a one-stop shop that can be accessed by your mobile for all the customer in-flight, such as food, beverages, duty-free items. You can do all of that on your phone, because generally, you know, earlier you used to go to the plane, then you have to give the cash or card on spot, but now they're giving you option to do everything on your phone as well. So they're planning to start the first phase this month, by the end of this month, and the second phase in April. So hopefully whenever they start the flight, so you will have, a lot more options, and can book a lot of things just with your phone. And also another amazing thing is you can earn the KrisFlyer miles as well when you buy these things. So that's amazing, guys. Another thing is about the Hawaiian Airlines. Now, even in the last episode, amazing, I got messages from some people, even from Brisbane, saying, come on, what's going to happen with the Hawaiian lines, about the Hawaii, because there are so many people. It's like New Zealand, Fiji, and Bali. I think Hawaii is the 4th destination where people really wants to fly. So in this one, they didn't mention much about Australia, since Australia is closed for till March. But at least there is a bit of hope, which I want to share with you guys, that yes, they are doing something. Wherever it's open, they come up with some flights. So guys, Hawaiian Airlines has begun ticket sales for its non-stop flight between Honolulu and the main destinations in US. So they have started that segment. They're going to start from 11th of March. So hopefully if Australia opens in March and you go to Hawaii, and I know so many of you who want to go to Hawaii and then want to go to the mainland in USA. So there are options, and they are thinking to start at least 3 or 5 flights a week from 21st April as well. So if you're thinking for next summer holidays, I hope everything goes well, or even after that. But yes, Hawaiian Airlines is doing well, and hopefully you'll have your Hawaii holidays very soon. So don't worry about that. Now, next up is Emirates. So Emirates has confirmed that the arrival of their new Airbus A380 into its fleet later this month will also see the unveiling of its long-awaited premium economy product offering, guys. So I know many of you asked that they have business, they have economy. Wow, what about the premium economy? So they are planning to have new aircraft, amazing ones, and you'll see premium economy product in that. So Emirates also continues to take delivery of new aircraft despite the pandemic. They are planning to have 3-4 more aircraft, and they are the super jumbo ones, 380 product, and you will definitely have amazing experience. And their director also mentioned that even there's a pandemic happening, they're still thinking to invest some more to give you a better experience in future. So guys, Emirates, every time you might be listening from last 6-8 weeks that I mentioned about Emirates, because I must appreciate them. While other airlines are closed, they are still, operating and doing repetition flights. It's really not easy to bring, 30, 40, 60 passengers or even less. But yeah, they are upgrading, they are investing. So it's pretty good to know that they're going to have some more aircraft as well. So immediately, these are the main updates for this week. Yeah, guys, if you have any question related to that, you can always call us.
Well, that's quite a lot of information there as well, but it is very good to see that flights are now happening, and of course Emirates there with the premium economy, which is very popular because it's not as expensive as the business one, but it's one class up, so which is very, very comfortable as well. So right now, if people want to go from say Brisbane, so what flight options do people have now from Brisbane?
Umesh, there are quite a few options from Brisbane. Like I said last time, Brisbane, you are lucky because generally we used to have only one flight every 5-6 weeks, but this time we have quite a few ones. And in fact, the next flight, which is on 20th December, it's almost sold out. I think there are hardly 20-25 seats left. So 20th December is the Scoot Airlines, and the fares start from $1,295. You still have option if you want to book that one. That's with 40 kilos luggage. And then next is 21st December, Marindo Airlines. They are starting from $1,299 with 30 kilos luggage. And the most important, Singapore Airlines, it is 1st of January, and fare for Brisbane to Delhi start from $1,595. So guys, that one is also going up very, very fast. So I would say please book as soon as possible. Once again, I want to mention to you all, if you want to have any of these flights and you want to connect to any city in India, we are happy to do that. So we can connect you from any city in Australia to any city in India with whatever luggage you need. So depending on the class you take. So in Singapore Airlines only you have a business class where you can extend your luggage up to 50 kilos. In international, you're getting 50 kilos anyway, but in domestic, I'm talking about. In domestic, you can have luggage up to 50 kilos, and fare definitely varies. Option 2, guys, is Emirates. So Emirates also flying once or twice a week from Brisbane. They give you 30 plus 7 luggage, and they have quite a few flights as well from Melbourne and Sydney. And in fact, whenever you need to go on emergency, then Emirates is one which is winning these days because you just go quickly. As long as you have your COVID test done, you are taking that report and you have your required documents, you can jump in Emirates, and they are really doing well. And third option, guys, like I always mention, if you don't want to go with a longer halt in Emirates, or if you cannot catch any of the direct flights from Brisbane, you always have option to connect from Melbourne or Sydney. We can do that as well. Yeah, we pretty much have once or twice, 1 or 2 flights a week from Melbourne or Sydney, which we can connect to you.
Wow, that's amazing. Right, so we'll look at all these ones. So first of all, let's look at Sydney. So what options do we have from Sydney?
Okay, Umesh, mainly from Sydney, we have Vande Bharat mission flights, so Air India flights. Guys, as I mentioned before, they are really little bit expensive flights because their fares start close to $1,800 alone for Sydney to Delhi. And the flight operating in morning, 10, 11 o'clock, reaching Delhi 6 o'clock, which means if you want to connect from other cities, then you have to stay overnight. So, but there are flights. It's not like you don't have flights. So flights are there up till 28th December at least. That's Vande Bharat mission flight, Sydney to Delhi. And then charter-wise, there is only one flight which I can see right now. That is on 17th of December. And fare of that one starts from $1,299. So Sydney, you have options, but charter-wise, just one left at this stage.
So only one charter left there, but they do have options. Well, what about our lucky Melbourne once again? So what's the flight status from Melbourne now?
So, as always, Melbourne always gets more charters going, and this week, guys, there are 2 more charter released. I'll tell you from the beginning. So, the charter going on 12th of December, that's Melbourne to Bangalore. That charter still have few seats left, so that's your last chance. So you can book that one. Next one is 18th of December. Melbourne to Delhi, then 28th December, Melbourne to Delhi if you still want to go before your New Year. After that, there's a new flight launch, that's 8th of January, that's Melbourne to Delhi. Then 12th January is Melbourne to Bangalore, 15th January, 24th January, and even 29th January. So guys, you have quite a few options, couple of them a week, and you are the most lucky ones, I would say, in case of charters. And their fares is starting from $1,195, Sumesh.
So what about, that's wonderful news there. Once again, Melbourne always gets good ones. Well, right now, what about what Prime Minister Morrison had said, bringing back our boys, so flights from India to Australia. What's that update on that one?
Umesh, seems there are quite a few flights coming from India, the Qantas at India, and situation is same like it was last week. So everyone, whoever wants to come, you have to register yourself with DFAT. And that way you will, get updates at which flights are coming. For Qantas flight, DFAT will call you themselves. So please make sure you check your phones, your emails regularly because you might miss it if you don't check it. And the Air India, you have to book it yourself. So basically, there is no charter at this stage, and these are the only two options. But hopefully, we are expecting maybe some charters coming in February or March, if definitely up to the government if they start. But yeah, all I can tell you guys, it's a bit better than it used to be. So bit by bit, things are improving. It's not like before, like 2-3 months before. If you probably won't hear much from people that they're coming, but these days people are getting calls. They are coming back. So hopefully from January, February, there'll be more options. So stay optimistic and don't forget to update your registration with DFAT because they want to know that you are active and you're willing to come back as well. But yeah, there is nothing with us that we can book, but definitely there are possibilities and hopefully there'll be more flights coming in next few months. Amazing.
Well, that is amazing news that, people need to register and be updated, but there are options which are available as well. So, looking at all of these points and travel, if people are willing to travel and if they're planning, what tips do you have for people? What should they be on the lookout for and what should they do and what they can't do?
Okay, so Amazji, I want to really emphasize on one point here, which I have been really, watching over the few weeks and few months, and every time pretty much I, tell everyone. So please, guys, if you're booking online or you see any of the airlines got the flight tickets on their website, please check first whether they are operating or not. Even last week, I basically got called maybe for more than 15-20 people who told me that they have visited online and just booked particular flight and that flight is not operating. They just booked it. They got then email that, okay, we are not operating and your money is stuck. And then people call and say, can you please help us to get that money back? No. Guys, if you're booking directly, we can't really do anything. And please, take the wise decisions and check before you book any flight. So that's number one. And second thing about the domestic flights as well. So if you are booking any domestic flights in Australia, I got recent update where you have to inform them your phone number, your email ID and your postcode. This is a new thing released from government as well, because I know sometimes passengers booking themselves or their friends, they just leave their details and don't write, the same postcode. So that's also very important. Either you are doing booking yourself or agent is booking for you. Just make sure you have your all up-to-date details for your domestic flight. And also, I mentioned that before as well, whenever you're taking any flight except charter, make sure you always, do the web check-in. So web check-in is very, very important, guys, because sometimes you never know the flight timing is changed. Generally, airlines or your agent sends you email about the flight time change, or maybe, unfortunately, the flight got cancelled. And I know some passengers who just land up straight to the airport and then they listen, okay, the flight is 1 hour before and you missed the flight or flight got cancelled. Guys, so I would say, guys, please do web check-in, even though you're buying domestic flight, Australian domestic flight or Indian domestic flight. you would know what's happening with your flight, and you can update details there as well. And if there is any notification, especially due to COVID, you would know all that. So please don't forget to do the web check-in for all your domestic flights, and also update all your details on airline's website. That's very, very important. Now, next one up is about the wheelchairs. So I think I mentioned before as well, but still I got call from few people who say that we have told or we have applied the wheelchair at the time of booking, even in case of charters as well. And they believe that we have applied charter wheelchair at the time of booking and we should be able to get it. No, guys, it's not like that. So if you are booking Emirates or Air India and you have applied at the time of booking, that means you are getting, because they are the repetition flights. But in case of charter flights, even though you have applied at the time of booking, you still must have some medical condition, or you have to show the letter from a doctor explaining that you genuinely needs it. Like I mentioned last time, because there's so many people who are opting for wheelchair, and there are limited number of wheelchairs, but still I totally understand that you are concerned about your parents, that they should have a wheelchair, but you have to understand that there are limited numbers, and you must produce a letter if you definitely want them to have it. So that's very, very important. Other thing about the cash again, if your parents or anyone is traveling, guys, I've been still listening from a lot of passengers that they are suffering because they believe that you have paid everything for your tickets and you have done your COVID test, you won't need anything. So please make sure that you are carrying some cash with you in Australian dollars, in Indian rupees, and if possible card as well, just in case, because I see one instance last week where one of the passenger landed in Delhi airport, and he didn't have money, and he had some nausea kind of, or cold coughs kind of situations, and officials stopped him saying, no, you have to do it. He showed the letter that I have done it 96 hours before. And still he was told, no, you have to do it again because you are not looking right. So this person didn't have anything at all. He just got the card which was not working. Fortunately, he had a friend who had a cash who gave it to him. He did it there and he paid the person later. So guys, it's good that he had help, and I know many of passengers are taking that as well. But remember, what if you don't know anyone and someone refuses that, right? So it's just a luck that he got it. But make sure, guys, you have enough cash with you. I mentioned that before as well. Please make sure you have minimum 5,000 Indian rupees and minimum 100 or 150 Australian dollars with you, because it's not always possible. Even if you take Australian dollars and you go to India, that there is an option that you can exchange it immediately, right? So if you can arrange the Indian cash before you go from here, make sure you have at least 5,000 rupees, because 5,000 is around the charge for the COVID test. Other than that, I want to mention once again about the DFAT. So if you're coming from India, please make sure you register yourself with DFAT so you get the regular updates. And if you need anything else, always feel free to call us. We're happy to help you. And I'm really very, very proud to say that, guys, that doesn't matter whether you booked with us or not, we are there to help you. My team is there to help you. Even you book from somewhere else and you have any issues, you're not able to fill the forms, or you have any question related to COVID, please feel free to call us. We are there for you to help you. You can call us on our landline, which is 040 440 3264. And we have a landline numbers as well. So from Brisbane is 0738115084. You can message on our Facebook as well, which is Auxindia Travel, or you can visit our website and message us from there as well. So guys, I hope you all stay safe. And also want to mention about the COVID test. One thing which I just remember, I heard, guys, there are some centers who have started charging for your COVID test. So previously it was pretty much free. I heard from maximum passengers that you don't have to pay for your COVID test even you are overseas citizen or Indian citizen. But I heard from it's more now. So there are really very less centers who don't charge you. Remaining centers are charging around $990. So please make sure you check before you go. And once again, if you have anything, feel free to call us. Thank you so much. I hope you stay safe and healthy.
I think that last bit of information that you said there about the cost of the test is very important as well, because people should check before they go. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, this has been wonderful and great information that you have shared with everyone there, Tanvi. And as she has mentioned, that it does not matter if you have not booked through her agency. She is still able to provide you with some information that you might need in a way of assistance. She might not be able to change that flight for you because it's booked from wherever, but she's quite happy to talk to you and put you in the right direction, give you the correct guidance. So once again, Tanvi, thank you so much for doing what you do. It's wonderful once again with all the information that you have shared with all our viewers. So until next time, it's goodbye. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Bye. Thank you so much, everyone.
GlobeNet Realty. GlobeNet Realty has been the longest established, trusted and respected agency in its trade area. Washa Chandra, Director of GlobeNet Realty, provides honest and ethical service to her customers. If you are thinking of investing in Brisbane real estate market, or if you are seeking professional property management, then you should contact Usha Chandra today on landline 3865 4466 or mobile 0419 775 416. And for further updates, log on to our website www.globenetralty.com.au. GlobeNet Realty is your own local real estate agency. Situated at Shop 52281 Sandgate Road, Boondall. GlobeNet Realty. Real estate is our world.
And real estate is the world, and that's wonderful once again to have your company on this day. And as we talked about, the coverage for today was the travel updates, and of course we were going to look at the industrial laws. So let's take a look at what's been proposed.
I think everybody's got to put their weapons down on this. Everyone does. And that's what I'm hoping for.
Back in May, in the eye of the COVID-19 storm, the Prime Minister was heralding a new dawn in industrial relations.
The first step is to get everyone back in the room, to bring people together.
Unions and employer groups would be brought together in working groups to try to find common ground on much-needed changes to our IR system.
Surprisingly, ACT's Secretary Sally McManus and Christian Porter, I think they had a better working relationship for a period of time than Christian Porter had with a number of the employer groups, who I think he felt was stuck in their initial position and weren't willing to shift ground to accommodate the other side. They managed to make some progress. Unfortunately, at the 11th hour, the government has introduced a proposal which the unions say they only found about last Friday.
In Parliament's final sitting week for the year, the government has gradually unveiled its reforms, leaving the most contentious until today. The unions say they were blindsided by the significant changes to the so-called Better Off Overall test, which holds that workers must be better off under individual workplace deals than they would be under the award.
That's the ability to allow employers, under certain circumstances, to get agreements approved that don't pass the Better Off Overall test. These are agreements which would last for 2 years, which are about assisting, the government says, COVID-distressed industries. Since Work Choices, the government has not really gone through about changes that directly impact workers' pay and conditions. This is really the first time in 7 years through COVID that the government has tried to make these changes to pay and conditions. And what this will do is completely distract public attention away from a number of serious other changes that need to be made. So it may well be that the government needs to drop this element of the bill to get it through past the Senate crossbench next year.
Innes Willocks is Chief Executive of the Australian Industry Group, and Sally McManus is the Secretary of the Australian Council of Trade Unions. Sally McManus, the government has done something of a dance of the seven veils this week in releasing details of its reforms. You say you were blindsided by the changes to the Better Off Overall test. Were they never on the table?
Well, this idea of allowing employers for a period of 2 years to go and negotiate agreements that will go below what the legal minimums are was a new thing, a completely new thing, came out of the blue. And I sort of wonder whether or not it's sort of out there as ambit, because it's really actually quite extreme. And there's a whole lot of other issues with this bill. So, yes, that one did come out of the blue.
Well, Ines Willicks, you've defended the changes to the boot test, as it's called, saying they are modest and that it just stops the test being used in a way which hinders bargaining. But has the government created a bit of a sense of bad faith in releasing them so late in the process? And how widely would you expect them to actually be applied?
Well, Laura, there was a lot of discussion about the boot as part of the process, so that there was some attention paid to it by the end shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. What the government is really trying to do as a result of these consultations is pull together the different threads. The boot was identified as an inhibitor to employment and job creation. What the government's put in place, what they've decided to put in place, is something not at all dissimilar to what has been in place since the 1990s, where employer and employee can go together to the Commission and say, because of the situation that our industry or our business faces, we need to make adjustments. This is limited to COVID and the COVID period with a 2-year period attached to it, and we think that's reasonable given that we're well over 200,000 people short of being employed who were employed in February. That's just one key indicator. As Phil Lowe, the Governor of the Reserve Bank, said, the recession may be over, but the recovery has a long way to go, and this is a recovery measure.
Well, I can see Sally McManus getting rather agitated there at that. But I suppose what I'd ask you, Sally McManus, is could you see any circumstances where, if the conditions under which the boot test could be overridden were more clearly and very narrowly defined, that you'd be prepared to consider them if it could be demonstrated it would benefit COVID-affected employers?
Well, what I'd first say is this, is one of the ground rules we all agreed on, including Ines' organisation and the government, is that we would have these discussions on the basis that working people wouldn't be worse off. Let's look at the problems, let's find solutions that don't leave people worse off. Now, what's before us does leave people worse off. In terms of COVID measures, there's been plenty of changes that unions have agreed to cope with those emergency issues that have come along, allowing people basically to be stood down, to reduce hours. All of those things have been agreed to over that period of time. So to now say that we're going to have legislation that's going to leave people worse off, I think this is a bad thing for the whole country. We're going to need consumer spending, consumer confidence in order to recover, and sending workers a message that they're going to have wage cuts or less job security is exactly the opposite to what we should be doing.
Well, Ines Willicks, if you look at the combination of measures that have been announced over the past few days, it does look like they go against employees. Casuals could lose back pay for up to 6 years, part-timers could lose overtime for extra hours worked, and that's on top of those possible changes to the boot test. Why shouldn't workers simply see this as the government and the employers using COVID as a cover to cut standard pay and conditions, not just in the short term but in the long term as well?
Well, Laura, let's unpack that. When we got together at the start of this process in June, the object was to make sure that people could find work and get into work and retain jobs, and that's what we've tried to work towards. And there's obviously going to be a lot of fear-mongering around what the government's put forward today, and it's pretty much all unjustified. I wouldn't characterise this as an employer's extravaganza, far, far from it. There are a range of things that are quite difficult for employers here, but there are key measures. One of the important ones is the changes that are proposed.
So there you are. There's the arguments to and from, because at any point there's always the two sides of the equation as well. And as the government of the day has said that reforms need to be done from time to time, taking into account as the rules are, the farming rules that they talk about in India as well. Reforms need to be done, but of course there is always resistance to reform. You try and put a change anywhere, there is always resistance to change. So we will keep an eye on that situation and see how we go. Right at this point in time, I'd like to acknowledge our sponsors for this segment, for the live stream, Gaura Travels. And don't forget that very special charter flight going from Brisbane to Delhi on 21st of December. 21st, 22nd are very good days of this year. Of course, you need to book in early. And you can book in with just about 5% deposit. And starting from 1,099, Gaura Travels, your best way home forward. And jump onto their website, 24/7 interactive website. And, you can be in touch with them whenever it is convenient to you. And we are very thankful for them for sponsoring this segment on Australian Indian Radio's live stream. Well, right now, leading on with that same news, let's look at some of the other segments of that industrial relation laws and how it will affect people.
During the pandemic, it's been people like Heidi Stove who've kept food on supermarket shelves.
It was extremely busy. There was some late nights.
The single mother of 4 works at Coles. Penalty rates critical in paying for specialist medical care for one of her older children.
Is what I rely on heavily to keep this little family functioning.
And if those penalty rates were to disappear...
Probably have to try and do more shifts to get the same amount of money.
This is what a pay cut looks like.
It is not a huge change.
But it's a change to industrial relations settings that's invigorating Labor and the union movement.
We should not have, at the end of 2020, working people being punished by cuts to their pay.
The government introducing laws that would allow employers hit hard by the pandemic to strike temporary employment agreements to vary pay and working conditions, potentially leaving workers worse off.
This is a time-limited, COVID-specific exemption.
There'd have to be genuine agreement between employer and employees, be in the public interest, and businesses would have to prove exceptional circumstances.
Things like turnover and the disruption to their business that have been occasioned by COVID-19.
By that measure, that wouldn't include Heidi Stove's employer Coles or Woolworths, Bunnings and other businesses that have survived and thrived through the COVID crisis. But Labor's sensing an opportunity not seen since the Howard government's IR overreach with work choices.
Who's going to look after my kids? You can't sack me. Really?
Why is the Prime Minister rewarding their sacrifice and hard work by cutting their take-home pay?
The Labor Party wants to stand in the way of Australians getting jobs.
There's good reason why Scott Morrison might want to downplay the significance of the IR changes. The last Prime Minister to be adventurous on workplace laws lost government and his own seat, and Labor's looking for a fight to turn its political fortunes around. Anthony Albanese's not a creature of the unions, but he'll be keeping them in close company for months to come. Andrew Probyn, ABC News, Canberra.
So, as I mentioned, that this is a development which we will keep an eye on and see what's happening and what transpires. Look, there is always the two sides of the equation, and no one wants to be better off. While the employees don't want to be, worse off, or the employees and the business sector as well does not want to be, worse off because they are hit with the pandemic, or do they absorb all the costs somehow? Or is it fair to negotiate something with the employees, keep them employed? Well, it's all for thought. So, there are always two sides of the equation that always needs to be looked at. Well, it's been wonderful having your company once again on the show. As I mentioned, there's so much that's happening. And once again, we'd like to thank our sponsors for the segment, which is Gaura Travel, for being with us and sponsoring this segment. And right now, let's take a look at some of the functions and events that are taking place in and around Brisbane. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I need to say goodbye. It's been wonderful having your company. It's always so good to see you. I hope that you have enjoyed today's show. Look, if there's any feedback, we'd like to hear from you. And we'd like to thank all the admins of the groups who allow us to share our feed. Please do spread the word around. As we've been battling a little bit with Facebook on trying to get back to our original standards. But of course, it is their platform, and we have to go by what they are able to provide us. Well, right now it's been wonderful having your company once again. Oh, by the way, the music. Can anyone guess who's playing this? I'll leave that till tomorrow. See, you can put a comment on if anyone can guess this series that I've been playing lately. I'll be changing them from time to time. The clue is that it's our own recording. So let's see if someone can come up with a message to say who's doing this, who's playing this music. Until tomorrow, it's goodbye from me. Make sure that you enjoy the rest of the day, enjoy the festive season, but responsibly. I know parties have started happening. Please do take care, especially on the roads as well. They're getting busier and busier. So until tomorrow, be good, enjoy yourself, but most importantly, remain safe.